All right, on the Orange Bloods Texas football YouTube channel, let's visit with Gerald Broussard, who went to high school in Lafayette, played college football, was a letterman as an offensive lineman for Louisiana-Lafayette, was a GAA, an assistant coach twice at Louisiana-Lafayette too, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So now what do you do?
I'm actually sitting in my office for Deep Well Equipment Rentals in Tucson, Louisiana, and I've got an insurance agency also, and then I do a little broadcasting for the Cajuns. So got out of coaching a few years back and got into the oil field, which in South Louisiana is a big deal, and then the little broadcasting stuff. And Ari, that's been a lot of fun.
How is everybody doing? You and your family and everybody in Louisiana right now?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We got spared. We really did. I was sitting here watching the storm, and it kept kind of jogging a little bit to the east, a little bit to the east. And my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandson showed up at the house, and we're planning on spending the night. And it got to be about 6:30, and he just looked at me and he said, "Dad, I think I'm gonna go home. It hadn't even rained." And so we shared a beer, and then I sent him to the house. But no, we got lucky. I've talked to my brother lives in Covington, Louisiana, which took a pretty good beating. My mother's passed. My father's new wife lives in a small town called Ponchatoula that took about 26 inches of rain.
Wow.
So they took a beating. And then I've got several teammates from New Orleans, and as well as a really good friend, Tim Rebo, who's a head coach at Nicholls State from Thibodeau. And so we've been in touch with all those people, but it's going to be interesting to see how they come about. We know what it was because last year we put up with the stuff in Lake Charles, and I used to coach at McNeese State also, so that's a bunch of good friends over there. But this may actually be a little worse.
Wow. Obviously, everybody's thinking about the state of Louisiana as it got hammered again through a hurricane. Let's talk about this football game. Texas with Steve Sarkisian. You know, it's a new era of Texas football, and they're going up against the Louisiana team here, the Ragin Cajuns, that have pretty high expectations considering they went 10-1 last year and returned 20 of 22 starters. So, I mean, where do you start when you talk about this 2021 version?
Well, it all starts with Levi Lewis, the quarterback, and usually it's gonna Levi's wearing number 1, and around here that's coveted. We had another guy wore that for a little bit of time named Brian Mitchell. And Brian ended up playing for a number of years as a special teamer in the NFL. But that number has not been worn since Brian wore it. And then Levi has permission to pull it out. And Brian granted him permission. And you know, he's a guy that played as a true freshman, gave up his red shirt to give the Cajuns a chance to have some success towards the end of the year under Coach Mark Hudspeth. And as with all this coming back now, with all the COVID, he gets that year back. And his experience level is really the straw that stirs everything for the Cajuns. And I mean, you got to be able to score, and that's what the Cajuns are being able to do. But you and I were just talking off air about having a good defense. So the Cajuns have Levi on offense, along with, we'll talk about a lot of others. But then, all right, we can really play a little bit on defense now. We're very good at all 3 levels of defense.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that defense because that is certainly, I think, where a lot of people start with this team. But Lewis, you know, you look at his numbers in 2019, and he was incredible. He only had 4 picks the entire year, but had 4th interceptions in the first 4 games of the season last year. He ended with 7, but I mean, he certainly statistically took a step back last year. I mean, do you think that's indicative of the type of year he had? Or, I mean, would you say that he had a worse season, or do you think it was just COVID and everything else that went into it?
No, I think it was having to change receivers, and so if you look at the number of people who caught passes for the Cajuns, now because we're from Louisiana and we like our guys getting some touches, we brag about that. If I'm the quarterback, I'm not bragging about that. I'd like to see me and you and a couple of my buddies, but I don't need to see 13 different people. And that's the thing that the Cajuns do. One thing that I know Coach Napier, the head coach for the Cajuns, really, and his staff has always done, they reward quality practice with playing time. And it makes for really good practices. It also makes for competitiveness all year round. And what ends up happening is that you're going to go through, I can look at the receiver depth chart right now for the Cajuns, start calling out names, and they've all caught passes.
Wow.
I coached receivers for a while, we were talking about Brandon Stokely. When the time came, I remember talking with Jake Delhomme during the game one time. He said, "What's my read?" I said, "Read, throw the ball to Stokes. I mean, read is third down. There's your read. Throw the ball to the best guy we got." And so, that part of it with this is that there's so many different players that come in, and I'm tall and heavy. You're smaller and quicker, and you're going to come out of your break at different times, and all this stuff. It makes it a little bit tougher with the consistency, and I think that was a big part of Levi's numbers, were a lack of consistency in everybody else around him.
Do they have a Brandon Stokely, what's your read, go to this guy kind of receiver this year?
Not yet. And I think that last year they didn't either. Had a guy named Jamarcus Bradley the year before, who's in with the Cleveland Browns right now. And Jamarcus was that guy, for a couple of years, and that was Levi's comfort. And you're still looking for that. Peter LeBlanc looked like he may be that early, and then had to fight through some. He's a receiver with a groin, and we all have groins, but a groin.
Yeah.
I don't want to say injury, just had groin issues throughout the year. Makes it tough. Had some young guys showing flashes of it coming in there. Had some more experienced guys that ended up with nagging injury here or there. And then, to be honest, COVID. I mean, you just didn't know who's going to be when and where. Practice level wise, I mean, I know, we had a couple of players because of contact tracing ended up missing, a long time. And that just made it tough to be consistent.
Yeah. What stands out about Billy Napier? I mean, this is a guy that's known nationally, a guy that certainly has had a lot of opportunities to leave and go to bigger jobs, but hasn't yet. What stands out to you about Billy Napier?
His preparation. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, now I'm old, so I get up early and we go out on the road, and I'm up in the hotel room, and I mentioned other businesses and stuff. So I get my computer and I go downstairs to start working on it. And it started with the Iowa State game, the first game of the year, which we were in a travel bubble. It was kind of neat because there was nobody in our hotel except Cajuns. That was it. And so I go downstairs with my computer. I go to start work, and I'm a coach too, so I don't want to pay for nothing. So I'm looking to see where the coffee is, and I go bust up in the team room, and this is at 4:40 in the morning, something like that. Now Cajuns were playing at 11 a.m. So it was early, but 4:40 is really early. I mean, I know that, but I get in there, and coach is already in there, and I mean, full suit, tie buttoned up, and he's going through his calls, and he's got his stuff. And I was not trying to be the first guy there. I wasn't, I promise, but I was just looking for it. But the next week I was, and he beat me. He got me again. And so I said, okay. And now I didn't go crazy, because there were times when I thought about, I'm gonna go before I go to bed and just not even go to bed. I got a little competitive streak too. But it went all the way to the bowl game. And then we got to the bowl game, and we were in Dallas, and I go there to get some coffee at the hotel. And this is like the day after Christmas and stuff like that. And I look at, I'm just kind of grinning, and we never acknowledged it. We never, but he just looked at me, and I could tell he said, "Yeah, fat boy, I got you again, didn't I?" And he just kind of tucked his tie and went in the room, and I took my computer and went in the other room. But no, his preparation is I mean, he tries hard to dot every I and cross every T, and does it through the whole gamut of it. And I just really appreciate that about him. He holds his players accountable. He holds his coaches accountable. He's got a system he believes in, and he's in it for the right reasons. He, as you said, he could be making a lot more money. Now, he's very well compensated, but he could be making a lot more elsewhere. It's not what he's about. He's about, he's a high school coach's kid. And he knows what money is. He's got enough. And I'm not saying he's going to die in Lafayette, but that's not what he's looking for. So we appreciate him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my next question was going to be, why do you think he hasn't left yet? But I think you answered there.
Yeah, I tell you, with his compensation level in Lafayette, Louisiana, and look, I'm partial. Went to Lafayette High, as you said, went to Lafayette and played, coached here 3 different times. broadcast here. My son went to school here and played here for the Cajuns. My mama ran the bank on campus at USL back in the day. My
Wow.
dad was born where the football stadium sits. So to say I
Wow.
would be partial would be a lie. But when somebody comes in from outside and has that same type of appreciation for the community, for the people, and look, that we put a lot into it. We being the alumni base on it have put a lot into it. We've got a special facility. We got, I mean, their offices are about as good as you can find at our level. We've got an indoor that's we don't take a back seat to anybody. He has what he needs to be able to succeed, and he's compensated well, and he's appreciated for that. And I think, when you look, and I'm one who chased money at one time. I left a job just because of the money, and that was the worst decision I ever made. You know deep down that you shouldn't, but golly, money is hard to turn down because it is important. And to see Coach Napier do it, and look, not just once, more than once, and a couple years in a row. I don't know if he can keep doing it, but we're glad he has.
You mentioned the defense, and obviously that's the strength of this team. We think of Louisiana Ragin Cajuns football. We think of Levi Lewis and this defense. So what makes it so good?
Well, in all the different sports, people talk about if you're good up the middle, start by being good up the middle in baseball and basketball and stuff like that. And the Cajuns are really good up the middle. We got a big old nose guard, Big Sauce, Taylor Humphreys. And look, I say things during my broadcast sometimes where I embarrass myself about it because I say he's 6'5", 3 people. I mean, he's full grown, and he was full grown when he was born. Came in here as a transfer, has stayed the course, has put up with all the transfer stuff. People transfer for a reason, whatever, all that stuff. But he's embraced the culture, and he plays his big butt off. He does a good job in there. We're really solid at inside linebacker, and got a couple guys in there that make plays. And when they do that, and when you're making those kind of plays, and I'm stumbling a little bit. I'm sorry, Chris Moncrief was the guy I was trying to think of. But when you get Chris in there and he's doing that kind of stuff, then you're not going to beat us up the middle in the run game. And dude, let me tell you what we got. We got a couple safeties they'll make you think deep twice now. I mean, they just really will. And when you go back here and Percy Butler's running around and Braylon Trombone's running around, and I'm not saying they're dirty players. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying they're ball hawks. They get after you. They're solid tacklers. And if you mess up, they're going to catch it. And they're DBs that can catch. And that's just up the middle. I mean, I mentioned that about Big Sauce as a nose guard, but we've got a very solid defensive line in there with Zion Hill, a local guy. I was a local guy that played at the house. The good thing is when you got a local guy that's good, when you got a local guy that's not, all right, that ain't good. Because I mean, you hear about it, grandmama tells you about it, auntie tells you about it, sisters tell you about it, everybody, why isn't so-and-so? But Zion's been good since day one. And he comes up in here and he makes plays, and he's done that for us. So inside in there at the running game, being able to stop the run and hold up, we're really solid defensive line. We got inside backers, outside backers, we got corners, we got safeties, and the guys make plays. It's, as I used to tease all the time when I was coaching receivers, I said, what do you call a DBs? A receiver that can't catch. The beauty of the Cajun DBs is them cats can catch, and so that means a lot when you're able to take advantage of the other team. There's a difference between a takeaway and a turnover. The offense turns it over. The takeaway is when the defense causes it, but you've got to be able to take advantage of the offense turning it over. If they throw it to you, catch it, and the Cajuns have been able to do that.
Are you guys running a 2-gap or a 1-gap scheme?
We'll do both. We will. We base out of a 3-4, but we'll power up in there as a 2-gap on it, and because we can hold point, and then we'll also get half a man and try and press and do some penetrate. A lot of it is predicated on down and distance, but we've got a young defensive coordinator that will get after you now, and And he's not as predictable as I thought he was going to be early in the year, but he grew throughout the year, and he's done a really good job. But it's because we can cover. If you can't cover, then it limits what you can do up front. But I'm looking at my depth chart here. Don't get ready for the game, and I'm not going to be able to broadcast the game. I had a little open heart surgery about a month ago. Kind of wake
wow,
yeah,
looking great.
Yeah, it's all good. No, I'm good. I'm good. I had a good heart, just had a bad valve. Fix that. Now I got a good valve. I just got a bad voice. but yeah, like I said, we've got some safeties that'll make plays back there, but we've also got some corners and some depth at corner and some size at corner. And that's something that at a school of our level, we usually, if you had a corner that could cover, then he might be a little bit stiff.
Undersized. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you played, and we had times where we played with 230-pound corners now. But we were playing cover 2, and they were playing the flat. They were just linebackers with a low number. But now our linebackers are number 2 and number 6. So can't say that anymore. But now we've got some guys with some range and some size, Mekhi Garner, Trey Amos, who are 6'1", 6'2" guys, 210 pounds, that can flip their hips. And because of that, we're able to do some things call-wise on defense.
Gerald Broussard played for Louisiana-Lafayette, coached 3 times there. I know now it's Louisiana, but back when you played and coached, it was Louisiana-Lafayette. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Glad to hear your immediate family's doing okay with the hurricane, and hopefully a speedy recovery as you get back to the broadcast booth from heart surgery.
I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you, Ari. Appreciate all y'all doing. I know the Cajuns are looking forward to coming to Austin.